You do not wake up to an alarm. You wake up because the curtains in your bedroom open on their own at 6:45, slow, silent, motorized, letting in exactly the right amount of light over the Hudson Valley. There is no phone buzzing on your nightstand because your phone does not chase you. People chase your phone. And somewhere downstairs, a man named Charles has already laid out 3 newspapers, 2 of which you partly own, ironed flat with an actual iron because wrinkled paper is, in this house, considered rude. This is what they never tell you about real money. It is not loud. It is quiet. It is the absence of friction. Most people spend their whole lives fighting tiny resistances, the line at the bank, the hold music, the form you have to fill out twice. You don't know those exist. They were engineered out of your life 4 generations before you were born. So let's walk through a Tuesday. Just an ordinary Tuesday, when your last name is basically a synonym for the word money, and you'll start to understand how the game is actually played at the very top. Level 1, the morning briefing. You come down to breakfast, and it isn't really breakfast. It's a meeting that happens to have eggs. At the head of a long table sits a quiet woman with a leather folder, and she is your family office. Not an app, not a financial advisor you found online. A private institution that exists for one reason: to manage the fortune of one family. Yours. She doesn't ask how you slept. She says, "We rebalanced overnight. The position in the logistics firm cleared. Liquidity is fine." And the word liquidity, when she says it, means something different than it means to you and me. To a normal person, liquidity is whether you can cover rent. To her, it means roughly $400 million sitting in cash, ready to move, because the family rule, written down in 1934 and never broken, is that you never get caught needing money. You position. You never panic. She slides you a single page. One page. On it, how much the trusts earned while you were sleeping. And here's the part that rearranges your brain the first time you see it. The number is bigger than what most successful people earn in a year. You earned it unconscious, horizontal, drooling slightly into a pillow that costs more than a used car. This is the first rule they don't teach in school. At this level, your money has a job, and its job is to work the night shift so you never have to. You sign nothing. Signing is for people who own things. You initial things lightly because you own the things that own the things. Level 2, the private access. By 10, you're in the car, and the car does not stop. Let that land. The doors you spend your life waiting at, they just open. There's a building in Manhattan with no name on the front, just an address, and inside it is a bank that does not have an app, does not have a branch, and does not, technically, want your business unless you're already exactly who you are. The man who greets you doesn't wear a name tag. He remembers your grandfather. He pours coffee into porcelain so thin you can see the shadow of your fingers through it. And he asks about your daughter's writing lessons by name. This is private banking at the altitude almost nobody sees. Down at the bottom, a bank treats you like a risk. They check your credit. They freeze your card when you travel. They charge you $12 because you dipped below a minimum. Climb a little and they're polite. Climb to where you are, and the relationship flips entirely. The bank is the one being evaluated. You are not asking them for anything. They are quietly, desperately hoping you'll let them hold a sliver of the fortune because the prestige of having your name on their client list is worth more to them than the fees. You understand the trick now, don't you? Money at this level isn't a number in an account. It's a membership. And the membership buys the one thing money is actually for: the removal of every no. The reservation that's full has a table. The flight that's booked has a seat. The school with the 3-year waitlist suddenly finds room. Not because you bullied anyone, because of the name. And the name is a key cut over a century ago. At noon, you walk into a museum wing that is closed to the public, and a guard nods, and you realize halfway down the marble hall why the lighting feels familiar. Your great-grandfather paid for this room. It's on the wall, carved in stone, the family name in serif capitals, and tourists photograph it without ever knowing the family it belongs to is standing right there in a quiet grey sweater, looking at a painting that, technically, the foundation owns. And this is where the Tuesday stops being about comfort and starts being about something much larger, because owning things is level 2. The real game, the one your family has been playing patiently for 100 years, is about owning the rooms where decisions get made before anyone outside ever hears about them. Level 3, the geopolitical influence. After lunch, which lasted 40 minutes and decided nothing, because the deciding happened on the walk afterward, you step into a room with no cameras. There are men here who run countries and men here who run the things countries borrow from. And the strange thing, the thing that takes years to get comfortable with, is that they all defer slightly to you. Not because you're louder, you barely speak. You learned the family lesson early. The person who talks least in the room is usually the one who already owns the outcome. There's a finance minister from a country you'd have to find on a map, and he is here, On a Tuesday, because the family foundation is considering a bridge loan to stabilize his currency. And he understands that this room is the difference between his government surviving the quarter and not. You don't shout terms. You ask one question. And what do you intend to do about the central bank? And the whole posture of the table shifts because the question reveals you already read the briefing he hasn't admitted to needing. This is the part that rewires you completely. Most people think power is the ability to make headlines. Real power is the ability to keep your name out of them. There is no press release when the family steadies a market. There is no photograph when the foundation funds the research that becomes a vaccine, or the think tank that quietly writes the policy a senator will propose in 18 months, as if it were his own idea. You don't lobby. Lobbying is for people on the outside knocking. You're already inside. You helped build the door, and you simply mention, over coffee that costs nothing because nothing here has a price tag, that the family would look favorably on a certain outcome. And the gears, somewhere far below, begin to turn. By 4 o'clock, you're on a call with a university president, and you're not asking for your child's admission. That was handled generations ago by endowing a building. You're discussing which field of science deserves the next 100 million, and you understand, with a clarity that is almost frightening, that you are choosing what humanity learns next. That is the level above money. Money buys the table. This buys the menu. Level 4, the eternal legacy. Evening now, and the light over the Hudson goes gold again. The same valley your great-great-grandfather looked at when the fortune was still oil and rail and raw, when it was loud and dirty and new. You walk the grounds and pass the small stone marker for the family cemetery. And here is the thought that separates your family from every lottery winner and every loud billionaire who flames out in a generation. You are not the owner of this fortune. You are its current steward. There's a document, decades old, that you've read so many times you know the cadence of it. It does not say spend. It says preserve and pass on. The trusts are structured so that no single heir, not you, not your children, can ever cash it all out, crash it, or hand it to someone who'd burn it on yachts and bad marriages. The dead are still voting. And they vote for continuity. You sit down that night with your own child, 14, phone face down, because in this house, attention is the real currency. And you don't talk about money. You never talk about money directly. That's vulgar, and besides, it misses the point. You talk about responsibility, about the foundation, about the names carved in stone, who expect the name to still mean something in 100 years, long after your face is forgotten and theirs already is. You explain gently that the goal was never to be rich. Rich is temporary. The goal was to become permanent, to turn a family name into an institution, a verb, a piece of the architecture of the world that outlives any single person who carries it. And here is the quiet truth at the bottom of all of it, the one you only understand once you're standing inside the machine. The $1 trillion is almost beside the point. It's just the fuel. What you actually inherited was the system, the family office working the night shift, the bank that hopes you'll call, the room with no cameras, the marker in the stone field that keeps you honest. You don't own things. You own the gears that make things work. And you were taught, before you could read, that your only real job is to keep them oiled and hand them, intact, to the next quiet kid who'll sit at the head of that long table. So the curtains close on their own at night, slow, silent, motorized, and you lie back into the pillow that costs more than a used car. And somewhere downstairs, the money is already clocking in for the night shift. That's what a Tuesday looks like when your name is a synonym for money. Not loud, not frantic. Just the absence of every no. And the patient, permanent hum of a machine built so well that you barely have to touch it. You're not the richest person in the room. You're the one who built the room. And tomorrow, it all happens again.